Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dan from Clutch Takes here. I just want to give you guys a quick heads up that the audio for me is not as good because I was facing the wrong way by accident, new mic. But I really want to get a community going, so if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, tell people. I try to get back to as many people as possible, Evan as well. But besides that, enjoy the video. Hey guys, welcome back to Clutch Takes. Hope you guys enjoy the new setup. Today we're going to be talking about why the Raptors are struggling. Even though it's been 2 games, we already know the fans are going to be like, oh, it's 2 games. We have our concerns. The East is better this year, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So the Raptors, through 2 games, have not looked amazing. Their offense has been stagnant. Their defense has not been what we're used to. And so far, they've lost games to the Pelicans and to the Spurs. The Pelicans are not that bad of a team, which me and Evan were not too worried. But then once we lost to the Spurs, we were pretty worried, as even though the Spurs are 2-1 to start the season, they're not a very elite team, and the Raptors usually would beat teams like this. And then the fashion they've lost as well. It hasn't necessarily always been down to the wire. There's been a lot of bad decision making down the stretch. And Evan, what would you like to say about those 2 games that we've lost so far?
Well, first, there's a common phenomenon. It's just that the Raptors were up by the half. I mean, each game, they looked really good in the first half. But, like, in the second half, they looked really bad. If in each game, there's, like, a stretch where there's no points being scored by the Raptors. And this comes to a conclusion that it's like, I don't know what Nick Nurse is doing. Like, he's a good coach, but he's not using his bench. There's the 8-man rotation is probably tiring out his, starters. And when the starters get tired out, then they're not going to play well down the stretch. We lost the lead to the Pelicans, and then the Pelicans just blew us out from just being tired. And then the Spurs, we lost the lead again. I was watching the game with Dan, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a blowout. I just know it. And then in the second half, something happened where the Stars got tired, and they just don't play well. They make stupid decisions because they are tired. It's not just that, but it's part of it.
And another thing you have to realize too, though, is that if you're having an 8-man rotation, that's usually for the playoffs when all your 8 guys are clicking. These are the best 8 guys that are clicking. The season is when you play 10 mans, even maybe 12 guys, depending how well you're doing in the game, right? So you have to use your bench. A player like Norman Powell, who Nick Nurse even called out himself, has been playing horrendous. I don't know why. He just seemed to be really off. He's been off since the preseason as well. He's shooting terrible, and for some reason he's just I don't know what's going on with Norm. It's okay, maybe just put in another guard like Terrence Davis. I don't understand that.
Yeah, they're not using Len, they're not using Davis, they're not using their rookie Flynn, nothing. Siakam looked really good both games too in the beginning. Siakam was rebounding good, he's scoring, and then the second half Siakam is just, you don't see him. Not at all.
And then in Siakam too, if he's struggling, take him off. It's a regular season game. You can win games without him. Boucher, for example, he played 12 minutes in the first game, and then he had to shoot the lights out to even get a sniff. And because he's not huge on as a center, Nurse is hesitant to play him. That's why Aaron Baines was getting most of the minutes. But when he stepped up and got double his minutes and played 28, he basically doubled all of his stats, doubled his points, doubled his rebounds. Obviously, went off for blocks, almost got triple-double blocks. But he, in my opinion, is more of a power forward because of his size. So if Boucher, who a lot of people predict to break out this year, is playing well, why not have his minutes over Siakam? It seemed like every time Boucher was in the game, it was a spark.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Boucher kind of reminds me of Siakam the year before Kawhi came. He's an energy player.
Yeah, honestly.
But I feel Siakam's struggles is also we'll get into it later, but it's he's not being set up for the right position to score. But and also Siakam has been taking a lot of threes where it's not his strong suit. I liked him better when he used to just score in his strong areas, in the paint, doing his spicy moves and the spin moves and mid-range. But when he goes to take threes from places he's not normally taking them, and then he shoots 10 threes a game, and he just misses most of them, like, it doesn't help anyone but, like, just hurt the team. Like, I liked him better when he used to go in the corner and hit his threes there and shoot maybe 3 or 4 threes.
Yeah, and like a thing that I don't like about Siakam, he's been doing this since like the bubble also. He's so good at his spicy P move, right? That's his signature move. Like, not many players have like a signature move. And when he was on, it was really on. For some reason, his post up starts so damn high. He can like start up at like the top of the key. He's like boom, 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 like working all the way down. And then Siakam is not the best ball handler, so that he's been ripped too many times. He's lost the handle. And like by the time he gets to the basket, he's just like whipping it up. Like, he needs to be fed lower in the post so he can go to work and doesn't have to work all the way down. And also, he can't just like 5 seconds into the shot clock, he just chucks up a 3. Like, it just takes away so much of the rhythm of the offense. If you like miss like a few in a row of those, like, it deflates the offense entirely.
This wasn't part of the plan, but another player I'd like to talk about is VanVleet. Last year, it was a problem for the Raptors because obviously he's shooting a lot because he wants to get the bag. But like last time he played in the Spurs, he took a shot that literally looked like a shot put in the middle of the air that like went so high and it went air ball for no reason. And it was not like it was like the end of the shot clock. It was like
like a rainbow shot.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why he does that. It just doesn't help anyone but himself, I guess.
I think he's like trying to shoot over someone. So yeah. He's like, I need to shoot it higher.
Yeah, but
that's not a good shot, I mean.
Yeah, it's not a good shot. So, and also I always tell Dan this, it's so easy to tell when he's going to shoot. Every time he hits a bucket, he thinks he's going to go on a roll. So it's like almost like guaranteed, no matter what, if the play is good for someone else, he's going to take that next shot, even if he makes it or not. Even if like a 7-footer is guarding him, he's going to take that shot no matter what. I know this bet on himself thing is in his head, but it just does not help the team whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know. He thinks he's like Kyrie Irving or something like that. Like, heat check. Like, what do you play or something? But yeah, and another thing we need to talk about is the Raptors' struggle in the half court. This has to do with like VanVleet, the whole team. They can go minutes without scoring. Like, just in that Spurs game, it's like they've gone 6 minutes without a basket. And it's like, what else is freaking new? Like, and when this happens, they're just shooting like way too many threes. Like, they're the Houston Rockets or something like that. Like, they're shooting like 40 threes a game, and like sometimes they're just not falling. If they're falling, then it's like, all right, we're fine. But if they're not falling, we're toast, because we have like not really many good mid-range shooters on the team, to be honest, and we're not driving to the basket enough. And it's like really frustrating. And that's Nick Nurse, out of his like main flaws, the one thing he has not been able to get the Raptors to do is score in the half court.
Yeah, that's very true. And when they just chuck up threes, it is very frustrating. Like, there's different ways to score.
Yeah, obviously there's different ways to score, but it's just taking threes so many times is just lazy. And you can say like it's the players or it's the system. You can argue each, but I don't know. Like, the Raptors, their game plan has been like not even a drive and kick mostly. I feel like it's just been like swing around and then hope for a good look. I don't know. I don't like it sometimes.
Yeah. And I know people are going to be saying like it's 2 games, like we said in the beginning of the video, but we need to take in that
the Raptors are not this bad. We're not saying they're like a bottom.
No. Like, they're 0-2 right now, which is not terrible. And like, there's teams like the Knicks who are 1-2 right now who have a better record than us. I know it's the beginning, but when you're losing games like that, it's not about how many losses they had.
It's like how you lose.
It's how they're playing, and also on the fact that the next teams are playing are like the 76ers, Celtics are coming up. There's like good teams coming up. So if we can't beat the Pelicans and like the Spurs, how are we going to beat those teams? Our record's going to go lower and lower, and it's harder to get into the playoffs when you're trying to climb out of a hole like that. So, and like the next thing we're going to talk about, it was like hierarchy in the team. I don't know what happened when I was watching the Raptors last year. They made it clear that Siakam was going to be the number 1 option. And this also can come like, it could also be the fact that why Siakam's struggling. There's no hierarchy in the team, so there's not this one person who's scoring. Other teams that play like the Raptors, or Raptors kind of mimic without Kawhi, is like the Indiana Pacers, for example. They have so many people who can score, like Brogdon, Oladipo, Sabonis, Warren, Turner. Like, there's so many people they can use to score, even though like they're all really good. Sabonis gets most of the shots every game because he is the all-star, he is the main scorer. But I don't know why the Raptors, it could be VanVleet being a hog, it could be Nick Nurse having a system where everyone needs to get a shot, but like Siakam most nights doesn't get most of the shots, and they don't make plays for your Siakam.
They're kind of like, here's the ball, do something. Like, when difference is when Kawhi was on the team, like Kawhi would attract like double teams, right? So when Kawhi is attracting a double team, like he's in his post up, like on the baseline, he's like posting someone up, and he'd find Siakam cutting, boom, or find Siakam on the fast break, slam dunk. He makes like a cutting pass, they pass it to Lowry, finds Siakam. It just created so much more spacing that the Raptors currently lack. And this is also another reason why Matt Thomas needs to be on the floor, because he creates so much more spacing. And this is like a thing I feel like the Raptors lack. This is why they struggle in the half-court offense, is because they don't have enough spacing, and they're shooting these threes that are not high-quality threes, in my opinion. Yeah. And like Kawhi obviously like really helped with the Raptors. We need someone like that to attract attention, because Siakam, he has been struggling to create his own shot.
But the thing about it is, like, I feel like it was like from September or October, whenever the season started last year, till like January, Siakam's stat line was around like 25 points per game, almost 10 rebounds per game, which is really good, which got him into the All-Star game. And this has got him into the All-Star game as a starter, like, let alone like just making.
Yeah, people will forget he was like all second team.
He was not like, just make the All-Star team and then, just like gets his name out there. No, he was like a starter. Even though it's the East, he made it over like Beal, Butler, and all these players. And the reason why, he was playing so well in the first half last year as a first option. And then VanVleet came in, got hot, and then played really good. Made some shots. He started averaging like 18 points per game. I don't know why, but Nick Nurse started giving him more shots and took the ball out of Siakam's hands. And then Siakam didn't know what to do, because he was told he was the first option, but now there's no first option. Even if a team, like I just said, without Indiana Pacers have a lot of scorers, they're still a number one option. And the Raptors just don't use a number one option for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Siakam tried to like slow down his game or something like that. Like he starts from the 3-point line, backs it down, or like he's shooting spot up threes. It's like, dude, speed is like literally one of your number one attributes in being aggressive. Like, and you're not using your speed, like literally one of the number one things you're good at. Like, I don't understand it.
Also, Siakam, like a lot of people in Toronto like to blame Siakam for his struggles and how he's the reason why he's playing bad, which part of it can be him, but I feel like a big part is because of the system he's in, which is why all the rumors of him being traded to Houston is there, because Siakam in a different system where they can use him right, he can become a very good player. I don't know why. The Raptors are really good at developing players, but it's like once they get that player, they don't know how to utilize him. Like Kawhi was so easy to use because he's a top 3 player. What else is there to do? Give him the ball, he could score. Siakam's not a top 3 player. You can just give him the ball and expect things. You got to make plays for him. If they're not a top 10 player, they're gonna have to get plays made for them to score.
And like just bringing it back for Siakam, like I feel like the Boston Celtics, they really figured it out. Siakam was not playing good the whole bubble, so I'm not giving like all the credit to the Celtics, but they double teamed him and they said let someone else do it. And Siakam obviously is not that type of player to beat a double team, and like they let the shooters Gasol and Ibaka open to take threes, and it just basically wiped out Siakam. Like he was not a factor at all. And with Siakam as the number one option, I just feel like another thing of the mentality is he was drafted 27th overall. And like, let's be like realistic for a second. He came into the league as like a bench player, and over like these last few years, his role is like totally switched, and he's like adapt. Like, rather than like someone who's like a lottery pick is like, you're going to be the number one option eventually. Like, you know, Zion Williamson, like they were groomed for this. Like Siakam was never groomed to be this. And now it's like, you're this. And it seems like he's way more hesitant, and I don't know if it's like he can't live with the pressure of being that number one option if defense is focusing on him. But in my opinion, I don't think he is a number one option. I think he's a really good number two when you have like a player like Kawhi, like we saw when he went off in the finals. And we saw how effective he can be, as he was like a vital part for that championship.
Yeah, he is the number two option.
And that's not a bad thing. There's like barely any number ones. So, yeah.
But it doesn't mean like he is playing well as a number two option, even, because there are number two options out there who are playing well as in the number one role. For example, Bradley Beal. He is not a number one option, and I don't think he'll ever be, because, you know, he's a number one option on a team that can't make the playoffs. But as a second option, he's playing really well. But he's in that number one role, still putting up numbers. Siakam is in that number one role, even though we said that they're not putting him in that role right now for some reason. Like, he's not putting up those numbers.
Well, I would say the difference, though, is that, like, Bradley Beal can score in so many different ways, right? Like, he's shifty, he can step back, he can go to the free throw line and hit his shots. Like, he's like an all-around scorer, right? So he knows his game and what to do. It feels like Siakam like lost his game. Like, he's not what he was before because he's trying to be someone who's not. He has to focus on his strengths. What I said with his speed, posting up earlier, the coach creating more plays that are designed for him that feed to his strengths, that what he was succeeding before. He's not being put in this like a position to succeed right now.
And back on the subject of him taking too many threes, which is weird because
it's supposed to add to his game, not like beat his game.
Like, Kawhi Leonard, he's a really good player, and he's known as one of the best players. Some people say he's the best player, but he doesn't take that many threes. He takes maybe 4, maybe 5. He only takes a lot of threes if he's actually hitting a lot of them. But like, he like focuses on his strengths. Like, he goes to the spots he's good at. He shoots his mid-range, dunks. Yeah. Siakam, on the other hand, I watched him even live last year, and he was trying to do his mid-range better, which is like really good. I think it would be really good for him. And he was hitting his mid-range. He did like, you know, a fadeaway, a step back in mid-range. He's hitting those shots. And then for some reason now he's not even attempting mid-range. I don't know why. Like, even last game he did hit a mid-range, which is like what he should be doing instead of taking so many threes.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to it. He's still developing. Like, he was in the G League at one point, and like, people we've seen are like late bloomers, and like Siakam has like so much more to work on and grow. I feel like this is not the final version of Siakam. If either he's on the Raptors or if he's on a different team, I feel like he has the work ethic. He's going to figure it out. It's just he does not have it right now. But he will, I feel like, and eventually.
And to close off the video, we're going to talk about the Raptors not having a closer to rely on.
Yeah, the Raptors, they don't have a single closer to rely on. We've seen it last season and this season. Last year, we even had like Norman Powell taking our closing shots, which is like kind of embarrassing, to be honest, because Norman Powell's like a great player, averaged like 16 points per game, should have won like 6-man. He should have at least been like a nominee in my opinion, but he should not be like closing games. If it's not Lowry, if it's not Siakam, if it's not VanVleet, like who is it? Like, if we're putting Powell as like the option, like there's a problem.
Lowry's not going to be able to take that closing shot, even though he has been a good closer. He's getting older. Like, you're gonna have to find someone. And I don't think VanVleet's up for the job, because like chucking up a ball that's 30 feet in the air and like airballing every time it's like a clutch shot is not gonna go in every single time.
Obviously. Honestly, VanVleet has been like I don't know if he has like that clutch gene that a lot of people talk about. Like he seems to like he if we go on a run to like get up to that moment, he's good. So he's clutch in that sense of the word. But if it's just like final minute, we need buckets, I don't know, he doesn't seem like the guy that you want taking the shot. He can develop maybe into that guy, but he's pretty small for a guard. And when like playoffs come, it's easy to clamp down on him, in my opinion.
The thing about him being small is not just being small. There's a lot of small guards out there that can be a clutch player. Like Isaiah Thomas hit a lot of clutch shots, or, you know, he's smaller than him, right? But the thing is, VanVleet's not shifty and he's not really like fast. So he can't like go around bigger players to get an open shot.
And then that's when that rainbow shot comes into play.
So he's slow, and he's pretty slow for his size. So he's slow and small, which does not make him able to create his own shot consistently.
Yeah, so like he is like a really good 3-point shooter. It's just like the looks that he's getting is not like good looks, so he's most of the time not going to hit them. So like this is what I would say is like people sitting on the fence for like the Harden thing. Like Harden, if he's out there, like how many number one options do you have to acquire that is like openly out there that wants to trade? Like Harden, if he's out there, like you trade Siakam, because like the Raptors right now, you are in like the worst place that you want to be, in my opinion. No, they're not the worst team, but they're in this like mediocre territory. If they're like a 4 or 5 seed, they'll win around 2 rounds, or they lose in the second round. That's not where you want to be. You don't get good draft picks. You don't develop good players. You're not winning championships. You're just stuck in the middle. You need to be like all in or all out. You play to win for championships. And if Harden's there, in my opinion, you trade whatever.
It kind of reminds me of when we were going to trade when the Kawhi rumors first started with the Raptors being the number one team to get him. People were worried like, oh, don't trade DeRozan, don't do that, only for 1 year. And they're like, this was even worse because like Kawhi was hurt for a year, so he didn't know what you're getting. But it's like, they went for
get one of those players, you get them.
They traded for Kawhi, and look what happened. We got a championship. And it's like, we didn't just, if we sat with DeRozan, was that going to happen?
Yeah, it's like Kawhi left, but we got a championship. It's like people saying, Kawhi left, what do you have to show for it? It's like, we got a chip.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's worth it. It's like, you rather try and fail than like not try at all. Like, what I mean, like going all in. Like, if you're like not really going, like if we kept with DeRozan, we would have still been that second round, possibly third round team. We would have never been a championship level team, and that's just the harsh reality.
And that's like the reality now. Like, the Raptors tried their heart out last year, and they almost beat the Celtics, but they were not. They could have beaten the Heat, but at the same time, were they going to win the championship? There's no way that they're gonna beat the Lakers at all. Like in this year, like, do you think this team can beat the Nets with Kyrie and KD, or even the Bucks with Drew Holiday not added? Like even like losing Ibaka and Gasol, can we beat the Celtics? Probably not. Like we probably can't beat like 3 or 4 teams in the East right now. And like adding Harden just enhances those chances of going to the finals and winning. And the thing about Harden and like his system, this is the last thing I was gonna say, like, everyone likes to say like, oh, he's not a winner and this and that, but like he's gone to like the conference finals against the Golden State Warriors and almost making to the finals, and like he's been very close. It's not like he's been like choking like Westbrook every single year. Like he's been a big reason why the Houston Rockets get so much success. But like with the Raptors' different system, like maybe not just like relying so much on Harden. Like the Raptors have so many different people who can score. Harden can now play the player that he should be playing.
Yeah, I think Harden, like, he made like a statement game with his first game of the season at like 44 and 17. He's like, watch this, I can still do this with like all my teammates out and they didn't win, but I mean like He gave them the best chance. He had like a perfect game of 44 and 17 assists. Like, I don't understand how you see that and you're like, I don't want him. It's like, strip club this, locker room cancer this. You have to think, like, we've heard this before with like Jimmy Butler and like other players. Like, the media overblows it, and like the defense thing too. Oh, he won't work with like Nick Nurse's defensive scheme. Like, that joke is just so old with like James Harden and his like poor defense. He's like at least an average defender, and you'll take average defense to at least have like elite level offense.
People also said KD was bad defensively. Look at him now, right? And also, you don't have to, like, when you're like a superstar, you don't really need to be like Kawhi Leonard's of the league. You don't need to, like, Stephen Curry won a championship.
Like, Kawhi Leonard is special because like he's like the best two-way player in the game. Not everyone's gonna be that.
Like Kawhi Leonard, you know, LeBron, but like Stephen Curry won a championship with him and Clay. Like, Steph Curry's nowhere near, like, I'm pretty sure Steph Curry's probably worse defensively than Harden. Like, I'm honestly gonna say that.
Like, Steph Curry is smaller, and he was like getting cooked by VanVleet.
Yeah,
in the finals.
Pretty embarrassing.
Like, it was facts. Like, they had to, like, Curry had to get some double. So like, we saw like Harden in the OKC series. Like, he was like trying really hard, and he was on Lou Dort, who's not a great offensive player, but he was like hot that game. Like, he had like 30. So like, they were going to him, and like Harden did like a 100 IQ play, like throwing the ball at him. And then when Lou Dort tried to like throw the ball, Harden like jumped and like went through his legs, and that was basically the play that sealed the game. Like, he's trying to win. Like, those are the winning plays. Like, he doesn't seem to like foul a lot. Like, he obviously like stays in the game, doesn't seem to foul out and get into foul trouble. You don't have to like hide him on defense. Like, it's just overblown.
Yeah, like, he's been playing with players like, you know, like Chris Paul. I know Chris Paul is really good. He's gonna be like in the Hall of Fame, but he's like had teams where he's put in positions to win a championship, and he hasn't done it. He's made it to the second round. And Harden's also played with players like Westbrook. Westbrook has literally never made that past the first round in the playoffs without Kevin Durant. Like, even Westbrook this year, like, I don't think Westbrook's ever going to win a championship, like, unless he's being carried.
That ship is sailed.
Yeah. So like,
Triple dubs in Washington.
I don't think Harden's ever played with a team that's like actually experienced winning in the playoffs. Like, he's literally had to carry people in the playoffs, and I feel like people saying Harden is a choker is so like stupid. And like, you know, like playing with Kyle Lowry would also, I think, help him win the championship.
Yeah, and you also have to think about, like, for this last on the defensive thing, like, a coach will obviously like help your defense, how your team plays, because you run different plays with different coaches. And Nick Nurse happens to be one of the most defensive coaches in the NBA. Basically, if you don't shoot threes and you play defense, you're not playing. So obviously, if he's like traded to the Raptors, his defense is going to improve.
It doesn't even matter. We don't need him to be playing good defense when we have people like OG, Lowry, Siakam playing.
Siakam's in the deal, but like still, like, basically everyone, the identity of the team is 3-and-D.
Like, we have so many defenders that doesn't matter if he plays defense. Our weakness is scoring, and that's what Harden does. I don't understand why.
And Harden is one of the best half-court scorers, going back to one of the points where the Raptors struggle. The Raptors, if they get Harden, like, they'll be way better at scoring in the half-court. So I think it's like a perfect fit, honestly. Like, if you take away all the semantics of like people worrying about he's a locker room cancer, all this stuff, like, he makes the team better, period. That's gonna do it for the video. Thank you guys all for watching. If you made it to the end, you're awesome. See you guys next time.